the support resource. If you have not already made a copy of the slide deck, please do so. We will be using links throughout the presentation that you'll need to kind of go into and grab the link from. And we'll also be looking at the LDSB K-12 Mathematics Minds Online resource. So please make sure that you have one registered and that you have that open as well. Is everyone okay with that? Not okay, please mark in the chat box that you need time or, and I'll just pause for a minute. Anyone? Helen, anyone needing help there?
No, nobody at the moment. I reposted the link in the chat box, so it's down at the bottom now, so people don't have to scroll to the top. And I will be muted, but if you need me, I will unmute.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so before we begin, I just want to recognize that the Limestone District School Board is situated on the traditional territories of the Anishinaabe and the Haudenosaunee. We acknowledge their enduring presence on this land, as well as the presence of Métis, Inuit, and other First Nations from across Turtle Island. Sorry, excuse me. We honor their cultures and celebrate their commitment to this land. I'm sorry, I'm just going to take a quick little drink of water here. Got something in my throat. Okay, so today's learning goals. Today is just going to be an introduction to the new curriculum with a focus on some resources available within the digital version of the curriculum. We're going to dig a bit deeper into Strand A, which is the social emotional learning and math processes, highlight some changes to the curriculum, and explore some Limestone resources that we have available. When this new curriculum was developed by Dr. Christine Sertam and her team from Ottawa U, and this was great news. We have worked with Dr. Sertam in the past here in Limestone, and she has influenced our learning a lot. The curriculum was developed with input and research from other leading math experts from Canada and from around the world, as well as input from classroom teachers and workplace experts. And I think that's actually linked to the coding and the financial literacy part. One thing that I was immediately excited about as I looked through this curriculum was how this new curriculum directly relates to the work that we have already begun over the last 4 years and longer in Limestone, and how closely it reflects our LDSB Vision for an Effective Math Program. And as we go through this presentation today, and as you explore this curriculum on your own, I'm really hoping that you'll see these links as well. So this curriculum not only represents the expectations of what is taught, but is very clear on how we approach teaching math. Included online is a short document in the resource section on high impact instructional practices in mathematics. These are strategies that we have been implementing and learning about in Limestone for a number of years. And as you look at that list, you can see connections. So when I first looked at the subtitles, I thought, yep, I got this. But then I dug a little bit deeper, and I was really impressed with the explanations of each and what they could look like in a math program. So I'm just actually going to take a look at the direct instruction. So according to the document, direct instruction is carefully planned to model, clarify, and extend thinking. It is when direct instruction is happening, students are engaged as the educator models, labels, questions, and checks for understanding. And direct instruction is used for guided investigation, practice, feedback, and consolidation. So maybe that gives us a little bit more detail of what direct instruction could look like in our classroom. They've also included for every high impact instructional practice, it's broken down into what this would look like in the classroom as students begin their understanding of a concept, as they're progressing their learning about a concept, and as students are moving deeper into their understanding of concept. And it actually changes. So I found that really interesting, and I hope that you'll find that really helpful as well. So I encourage you to take some time to read this, as this is the model in which the curriculum is meant to be taught. And unfortunately, we're not going to spend a lot of time today looking at that because that would take up our entire 45 minutes. So this leads us to the strands to be taught. There are 6 strands. Strand A is social emotional learning skills and the mathematical processes. And then the rest of the strands are specific expectations. Strand A encompasses those high impact instructional practices through social emotional learning and the math processes. And the other 5 strands tell us the specifics of what to teach. So there's number, algebra, and within algebra, we're going to find the coding and the process of mathematical modeling, data, which actually includes probability as well, spatial sense, which is the merging of geometry and measurement, and financial literacy. We're really going to dig deep into social emotional learning because it's new. So there's a couple things we're going to do. This is where we're going to get a little interactive here. I'm just going to show you what we're kind of the instructions, and then I'd like you to go into it. So I'd like you to take a few minutes to look at the specific skills for social emotional learning, and I'm just going to show you where you find that. So if you go into the copy of the slides that you took, you just click on this. Oops, I'm going to have to escape here. And everyone hopefully can still see my screen. I just would like you to scroll down, all the way down to this chart. So the social emotional learning skills, the key components and sample strategies. So it does give a pretty detailed example of what the skill is, and then also just the key components and sample strategies. So these are just sample strategies. What we would like you to do, I'm just going to go back to my presentation, is I want you to think about the strategies that you use in your classroom that are linked to each skill in social emotional learning while you're reading through that list. And then if you could go to this Jamboard, so again, you're just going to click on the link, and the Jamboard is here. And I see Elena's already in there, awesome. And so on page 1 are the instructions again. And then if you just go to page 2, what we've done is identified the different skills. So that was this first skill, identify and manage emotions. And you're just going to grab a sticky note. So just click on it. I can write whatever I want. Oops, hello, spelled wrong. And I just hit save, and it's there on the board. And you can move it to wherever you want. So that's how you actually use a Jamboard. And if you just click up here, the other skills are there. So I'm going to go back to my presentation. And we're going to give you about 10 minutes to take a look at that. Take a look at the social emotional learning key components and sample strategies. Think about those strategies in your classroom, and then go to the Jamboard. Okay, I think we've kind of slowed down there. So let's just take a look at some of the things that we're already doing in our classrooms to support the social emotional learning. So really great suggestions in here. I love the one about the practicing the optimism, understanding the zones of regulation, talking circles. These are all great ideas. Identifying emotions of self, using picture cards. I think that's really great for primary. The sources of stress and cope with challenges. That whole idea of growth mindset, actually discussing what the emotion we feel like in our body. What does it feel like to be a little stressed, or when someone calls on you, or when you're feeling upset about the math? Yeah. And I like this, like, what other way could you find, like using a manipulative or a picture to help you, or strategy? Maintain positive. You got a lot in here. Yeah, introducing modeling positive classroom norms, which is a Joe Bowler. We can work on hard things. Embracing mistakes, letting them know that we make mistakes. It's hard to make a mistake in front of people. Teaching positive, the self-talk strategies. Those come a lot from the work of Dr. Kathy Marks-Kirpan. The self-talk strategies are excellent. Building relationships and communicating effectively. The positive classroom community from the first day. Yep, I kindly disagree, because that's excellent. So giving kids prompts to disagree with each other, and like those accountable talk. Silent strategy signals. I love that during number talks, math talks. Effective listening skills. Excellent. The self-awareness and sense of identity. Yeah, how does math make you feel? Yeah. I've talked to a lot of adults about that, and they don't have the best emojis for that. So hopefully this will be, with us actually focusing on this within our math and social emotional learning, that we'll have a new generation of students that don't have those horrible feelings about math. And then our last one was just think critically and creatively. I think that's a lot of the problem solving that we're doing in our classrooms, and letting kids explore, using manipulatives, using visuals to help them with their math. That would be where we are letting kids think critically and creatively through the social emotional learning. Okay, thank you so much for participating in that. We're going to go back to the presentation now. So if you're still in the Jamboard, you might want to go back to the other screen. So Strand A also includes the mathematical math processes. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on the mathematical processes just because we've already seen mathematical processes. We know what they're all about. But I just want to highlight some things that you might notice about this mathematical processes. Number one, they're much more detailed description of each math process. There's an explanation within each one of what this could look like within your classroom. And number two, the math processes and skills, such as proportional reasoning, estimation, using and selecting concrete materials, or visuals, which were once in the specific expectations, are not necessarily mentioned as specific expectations, but they are mentioned in the math processes. And therefore, students need to know them or learn them to support their math understanding. So just because we don't see estimation anymore doesn't mean that we stop doing that, because we know one is part of the math processes, but it's also a skill that students need in order to be successful in math. Okay, so some key points about assessment and evaluation. I think everyone probably already knows this, but there's only one mark on the report card. This mark, though, has to encompass all learning taught, including Strand A. And so what you see in blue there is just a little quote from the curriculum. So students' application of the social emotional learning skills and mathematical processes must be assessed and evaluated as part of their achievement of the overall expectations in each of the strands for every grade. So we might need to do a little bit of learning together what this looks like as the year progresses, but we'll do this learning together. So all of our assessment has to be done thinking about through the Strand A lens. Other questions some people have asked about, is there specific a number of strands per term that we need to teach? The ministry statement was that you are professionals and you will do what's best for your students and teach the curriculum and to what you think is best. So they don't necessarily think there should be, like you have to teach 4 strands or 5 strands. It's up to you. Things that are the same with assessment and evaluation. Guiding success still guides us with assessment and evaluation guidelines, and we still assess and evaluate through the triangulation of data. And achievement charts are the same as in the previous curriculum. Okay. So now we're going to take a look at some of the changes to specific expectations. First, I just want to, this is what's going to be found in your in the Minds Online site. So I'm just going to actually escape here. I'm just going to go into our Minds Online because I just want to highlight a couple of things. So I'm just back for people that maybe, if this is your first time into Minds Online, it might show you something like this, except it'll say welcome in your name. And just click on entry right here. It'll take you to the elementary section. And we have a new tab under new math curriculum. Everything that we do that is related to the new math curriculum, we will add to this, including a really awesome document that Jessie Lalonde and Missine Clapp have been working on all summer to support coding. And me, just a little bit, I just asked the questions of like, I don't understand that, can you explain that to me a bit better? So they've worked really hard. It's an excellent document. It's going to be added right here as well. So if you also, what we're going to take a look at today is the math curriculum comparison chart. So if you just click on that, it'll come up. And so I'm just going to pick a grade, and let's just choose grade 1. Your screen probably looks a little bit different because I developed it. And here are the curriculum changes. Now this is my interpretation. I worked on these this summer, and I just want to highlight some things that you will see. So at the bottom in my screen, sorry, is you should be able to see the different strands on the bottom, but my screen has this thing here, so I'm just going to move that for a second. The different strands are along the bottom here. I did start with the social emotional learning, and then I have all the different strands here. Within the different strands, so if we go into number strand, you'll see that there is In blue is the new expectation or significantly altered. There is completely omitted is in yellow, and any change for this is in orange. And I did actually change these, actually the orange in the different strands. So as you scroll down, you might notice I do have the new curriculum on the left, the old curriculum on the right. The overall expectations are the same from grades 1 to grade 8 in the new curriculum. So the number is the same in grade 1 as it is in grade 8. It's the specific expectations that change. So as we go down, you'll see some things like for whole numbers, it's changed, it's in orange, and then whatever is in yellow is what is actually not included in our curriculum. And then the blue is new or significantly altered. So I just want you to take some time to take a look at that. And I'm just, before you dig into that, if you could come back to the presentation just for a minute, because we're going to go back to the that Jamboard and go to slide 9 on that Jamboard. I'm just going to bring it back up again. I'll just skip through to 9. And I just want you to take a look and think about the changes that in primary, what do you notice? So just put some stickies on what just stands out to you right away that you notice are big changes in the primary curriculum. Choose your grade that you're teaching or grades. Again, the sticky notes over here. And if you need more room, there's a second page ready for you. So you have about 10 minutes to explore that document. Feel free to put questions or comments up on the chat board.
You click on through Minds Online to get into the math curriculum.
Yeah, I'll just, the math curriculum? Oh, the charts?
Yeah, I think that's what this teacher is asking.
Okay, so I'll go back to that. Thank you.
Welcome.
So when you go into, I'll just take you right back when you're in. So you're going to click on elementary. And then go into the new math curriculum is right here. Very first thing you'll see. And then the LDSB math curriculum comparisons. If people are, okay, so maybe we'll just actually consolidate some of that right now. So yeah, temperature is out. Counting backwards, expectations are out. Some printing the whole numbers is like in words is out. The time actually is changed. Time is significantly changed. About like in grade 1, we're really more just looking at like the changes in time, like recognizing that time, like how time is spent kind of thing. Grade, no clocks or hours in grade 1. They've increased some of the numbers, money to 100, for example, has been changed. I'm just going to pull up that slide, that Jamboard for everyone, sorry. I know you're looking at it on your screen as well, but I'll just pull it up as well. Yeah, some of the 2D and 3D learning is out. Some things that are new are the fractions though. I see that some more fraction work in all grades actually. Grade 1, we're expected for students to understand a little bit of equivalency. And there's a whole idea of the fair share. That's the language of the curriculum now for fractions in primary grades, and I think into the junior as well. So a fair share question might be something like, I have 10 friends, but I have 5 chocolate bars. How can I share these? Or the other way around, whichever. One thing that actually no one's mentioned, but the math facts are included there. So all of a sudden we have this whole section on math facts, but the thing that it's new, but we know that the fluency and flexibility and activities are what's going to build automaticity in those math facts. It's not necessarily that we're going to go back to using memorization of math facts. It's actually learning math facts through using number, being flexible with number, using activities to do it, and that sort of thing. Some other things like there's different graphs in data that we need to know. Grade 2s now needs to know mode, grade 3 medium. And students actually have to be able to manipulate central tendencies. So the mean, median, and mode. Temperature is completely gone. I think maybe that might be in science. And I noticed someone wrote the symmetry is out in grade 1. And I was thinking a lot about that and how it connects to some of the work with taking shape. And we know that those activities in that book really support learners. So I'm wondering, I was wondering about that and how that might still connect into the curriculum. I'm going to see what that is. A lot of the financial literacy, the money part, is now in financial literacy. So it was once a number is now in financial literacy. So those are lots of changes that have been made. But I don't think overwhelmingly not a lot that we can't handle as teachers. So I'm just going to go back. If you could go actually back to the slideshow, because I'm going to go back and present that now. I'm just going to get mine, sorry. So we wanted to make some connections for you of examples of how we can incorporate social emotional learning and the math processes into other strands. So now that you've thought about some of the changes in the curriculum, we just had some suggestions to kind of get you started. So these are all activities that will be found in our Minds Online activity. We're trying to think of like activities that we do in our class that relate exactly to those social emotional learning and the math processes. So if you click on any of these, so I'm just going to click on say fluency in games, and we thought that playing games in class and might support some identifying and manage emotions. I also think that it might support them maintain positive motivation and perseverance, building relationship and communicating effectively. All these things would be supported in that. So if you click on that link, it'll take you right back into our Minds Online, and the games are there. So everything that within that first page is a link to our Minds Online. So we do have a plethora of activities in here. This is just an introduction, but if I take a look at a number, for example, if I just want to focus on number, quantity, and counting concepts, if I click, for example, supertizing, I have a whole list of activities. First, it's the definition of what supertizing is, but then the games that would support building that skill for our students, and they just come up as a document, and you can click on it like that. So if I go back to, all of these are links right into our K-12 math resource in our Minds Online. Activities that are already made, are already there to support the SEL and the math processes, the Strand A. So coming soon, the ministry's already added teacher supports and other within the specific expectations, which include like definitions, explanations of key concepts, and some minimal examples. I think more examples are coming. And I know that they are adding sample long-range planning resources and some other resources as well. And once they are released, we will I'll just send out a message saying that these are updated. And that's it. So thank you so much for coming today. We really appreciate it. I know this was kind of an introduction to the curriculum in a kind of a quick way, but I do encourage you to explore the different resources that are available in there, not just the curriculum context, resources, and the preface of the curriculum document. If you have any questions, please put them in the chat box. We have about 3 minutes. And if not, I hope you really enjoy the rest of your day. Elena, do we have any questions?
Yes, I just had to unmute myself. Question, is there an easy way to print out by grade the curriculum? I'm assuming the actual 2020 curriculum.
Yeah, I will actually, let me just go present my, I am still presenting. If you go into the math curriculum and you go into your curriculum context, downloads, back. Into the downloads, they actually just have it by strand. And the curriculum is set up like this. So you can, you can see, and I kind of like this because I can see how it changes from grade to grade. If I've got a split class, I can see side by side. That is the way they have it set up right now.
It's really helpful that way, I find.
Yeah.
Extremely helpful. Lots of thank yous, Prisha.